and is November 17th, 2022. Our first item on the agenda is our ELA adoption and possible action. So I'm going to hand it over to Pam and crew.
Thank you. Well, thank you for this opportunity to talk through the work that's been going. It's really the culmination of about a year's worth of work by an amazing team. We have some representatives of that team here with us today just to help share some information about recapturing the work and the journey that we've been on, and then the proposal itself. So, already familiar with Jen Schultz, our district literacy specialist. We have Jen Hartman and Melissa Buck, who serve as reading teachers in our district, both also former classroom teachers. So they bring kind of two different perspectives to the work that they've done. And as I indicated, they're representative of the team that we have working through this process.
And alumni, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes. So we wanted to spend a little time just kind of recapturing, just a little quick reminder of the journey. We won't go into detail. You know, you've seen these things before, but we have worked through a process, a pretty step-by-step process that started with developing our district lens, then taking a look at how we investigate the integration and alignment of whatever we're looking at, make a decision, and then develop our implementation plan. So this process we drew from EdReports as a recommendation for how to work through a really stringent adoption process. Again, we start back at the beginning, and that's our district lens. And we had really two prongs that we looked at. The first was our ELA proficiency data, which we knew was not going in the direction that we wanted it to be going. And that spurred on some conversations about the why and what needs to change. And so that led us to be taking a look at, with our staff, taking a look at what about our current resource is or is not meeting our needs, and we did that gap analysis. And I know you've seen this data before, but just want to remind the group that the gap analysis was an opportunity for us to ask our classroom teachers, our specialists who are reading EL, special ed, and our principals, tell us what's important in an effective literacy resource, and then tell us how our current resource does in those areas. And when we did that, we got data that indicated student choice is something that's important, and student choice is a strong piece of our current resource. We also got data that said social studies and science integration is an important piece, and got some inconsistent responses in terms of how well our resource does with that. So that was an area of question mark. 4 areas that highlighted in red on this document that really stood out as areas of weakness within our resource that are important in a literacy resource are individualized differentiated instruction, phonics and word study, grammar and conventions, and then resources to support the needs of our English learners and our special education students. And so across the board, K-8, our respondents felt like those were the areas that were the weakest, and also that really conversation led us to, we have to do something different. And so we began the process of looking at our curriculum. Wanted to talk, our team talked about including this just as a good frame of reference, because it gives a nice visual of really what we talk about is the updated view of the science of reading. The pillars have not changed. Those pillars remain as essential to good literacy instruction. But what has been updated and has changed is really taking a look at those foundational pieces. And those 2 foundational pieces are language development and social emotional learning. When we think about those and how they play into our more updated version of the science of reading, we really take a look at that language development piece. That language and literacy go hand in hand. And our reading teachers, and these 2 ladies can speak to that, our reading teachers and our EL teachers right now are really working to dig into what is that connection and that bridge between language and literacy. So they spend their time on professional development days looking at that. The other key component is that social emotional learning. And that really comes from that lens of having children be able to dig into reading, but using resources that really engage them into getting into the reading and being able to see themselves in that. They found kind of a nice picture from the Literacy Worldwide organization. Talks about mirrors, and it talks about windows, and it talks about sliding doors. And the windows are really getting the kids to be able to look at a text and see themselves or see others in that and look at the world. The mirrors, they get to see their own life experiences and get a picture of how their life experiences connect to that story. And then the sliding glass doors are just that escape, right? Like we walk through the door and we get into this whole new world that's mystical and magical. And so when we take a look at reading from that lens of social and emotional, it's how does it touch the heart of our students and really capture them and draw them in. So that's just another update to that science of reading.
Step 2 of our process then was creating our ELA resource review team, narrowing down the ELA options, and then creating a timeline for the work that we were going to be doing and when we wanted to have it achieved. So as we take a look at the next slide, again, you've seen these before. This is just a reminder of who we had serving on the ELA resource review team. When we put the team together, we wanted to make sure that it did have all of those people that we had surveyed. So representative of classroom teachers, reading teachers, special education teachers, EL teachers, and also had principals on the committee or the review team as well. We also had some teachers who were very strong advocates for the units of study and people who were very strong advocates for something else, because we wanted to make sure we had all sorts of different opinions and perspectives as we went through this process. We can't speak highly enough about the efforts and the expertise of our ELA resource review team that we pulled together. Our K-8 team has a combined 450 years of teaching experience, with 323 of those years being in the MPSD. Within the team is an Early Childhood Teacher of the Year, a Herb Cole Award winner, a Golden Apple Award winner, a nationally board certified teacher, 2 MPSD student learning liaisons, and a majority of the members of the team are master's level educated teachers who have a focus in special education, literacy education, English as a second language, principal licensure, and director of curriculum instruction. So we really brought the best of the best together for this work. And as they came together for many in-person meetings, they also spent lots of time digging into the materials on their own time. So we're very thankful for everything that they did, their expertise, and their continued dedication to the process. Again, a document you've seen, but our timeline. We shared this out the first time when we presented in February to the curriculum committee. We've stuck very close to the timeline and are able to bring forth today that November recommendation to the team.
Okay, so step 3 was make a decision. After all of that work, and the timeline really shows that we spent this fall having opportunities for our folks to dig into the resources and also spend some time engaging with the different vendors that we were looking at. And so throughout that process, as Jen indicated, our team has really taken a lot of time to look at all the nuances, all the features of each of the resources. And on November 7th, we brought the team back together and said, bring your evidence, and we're going to talk about where we at, what do we think, and as we had indicated in our timeline, had hoped to come to today with a recommendation. And so it's been an exciting couple of months to start the school year. Here's the recommendation. It's the recommendation of the ELA Resource Review Adoption Team that Into Reading K-5 and Into Literature 6-8 curriculum resources are made available for the public review for the next 30 days. You have the textbook resource adoption form link